I want to introduce Katie Newburn. Katie Newburn is the Education and Outreach Director for Friends of Great Salt Lake. Katie facilitates the organization's environmental education programs, which seek to develop the next generation of Great Salt Lake stewards and engages community members of all backgrounds through outreach. Friends of Great Salt Lake is a nonprofit membership organization founded in 1994 with the mission to preserve and protect the Great Salt Lake ecosystem through education, research, advocacy, and the arts. And to learn more, become a member, visit www.fogsl.org. We invited Katie to come to this event because we really think that getting out to the lake and forming a relationship is a really important part of understanding the lake and wanting to preserve it into the future. So Katie, please join us.
Can everyone see my screen up here?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry, did it go out of present mode just now?
Nope, it's good.
Okay, sweet. So thank you guys so much for inviting me to be a part of this session. I know it's a little bit of a diversion from plant biology of Great Salt Lake, but I totally agree that experience and education around Great Salt Lake is important for its continued existence, essentially. And I'm excited to share some suggestions about how to have a great experience at Great Salt Lake. I know a lot of us who are here already, Great Salt Lake enthusiasts, but this is maybe I hope maybe you'll consider these suggestions with the intention of sharing Great Salt Lake with someone else in your life who maybe isn't as familiar with it and who you can bring out with you on your next visit to one of these great destinations and help expand our network of Great Salt Lake advocates. And, you know, we can all be Great Salt Lake missionaries to some degree. So I'm going to just share some tips for your visits and some easy destinations to get out to. As Jamie said, I'm with Friends of Great Salt Lake, and our mission is to preserve and protect the Great Salt Lake ecosystem through education, research, advocacy, and the arts. So we provide programs within each of those focus areas, and my work focuses on our education programs, especially our Lakeside Learning Field Trip program, which in an ordinary year would bring about 3,000 fourth grade students out to Great Salt Lake for an experiential education program. But because we weren't able to have in-person field trips throughout 2020, we focused on adapting our content from that program into resources that teachers and families can access to help them on their own visits out to the lake. So those are available at this link here. I'll share some of those resources in a little bit. And I feel like experiential education at Great Salt Lake is we know that outdoor education is beneficial in so many ways for students and for the environment in general, for students' understanding of the natural world and their place within it. But to me, for Great Salt Lake, the time is really ripe for experiential education. Not only is it this super weird and wonderful ecosystem, it's also facing very serious existential threats. However, many of those are threats that all of us who live in communities around and upstream of the lake have the power to prevent or counteract. So rather than feeling really overwhelmed or defeated by the threats that Great Salt Lake is facing, I think that experiential education and just visiting and exploring Great Salt Lake has the power to inspire and empower all of us to know that we can all be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. So I think with that in mind, get out and visit if you can. And some basic tips for Great Salt Lake is to know your season. There's lots of beautiful times of the year to go and visit. One of the biggest issues that people run into, however, are the no-see gnats, the biting gnats, especially peaking in the spring. They're super abundant. They are resistant to all forms of bug spray, and they will just basically can ruin your day. So they're especially prevalent around Antelope Island and at some of the other locations that I'll share too. But this is really, they really peak between April and June, and it can be, you know, a negative experience. So that's something to be mindful of. If you're going out or if you're going to bring people who are less experienced, you want them to have a positive impression and become, you know, inspired and feel enthusiastic about wanting to continue to explore Great Salt Lake and feel like they want to continue to get to know it and go back and visit more. In the summer, it gets very hot and exposed out at most destinations around the lake. So that just means it's important to be extra prepared with sun protection and water. And many people are probably familiar with the spiders that emerge, especially in August, all around the lake. And many of us have embraced the spiders. I know Great Salt Lake Institute and Friends of Great Salt Lake were both partners of the Antelope Island Spider Fest in August, which is an amazing event that seeks to help inform the community and the public and, you know, help people learn to appreciate the role that spiders play in the ecosystem. But if you're averse to spiders, or if someone you might want to bring out is averse to spiders, it's good to be aware and maybe choose a different season or location. Fall and winter are lovely, lovely times to explore Great Salt Lake. This time of year right now is wonderful, and there's like no one out there. It's super not crowded, which is also great for the current conditions of the world. There's lots of open space and open air, and I would encourage anyone to go to any of these destinations right now. It's also important to, you know, be prepared for your adventure and bring all of the necessary supplies, definitely layers. There's lots of variable weather all around the lake, and binoculars are great to have to get a closer look at some of the incredible wildlife that you can see from there. Sun protection, a towel is an amazing tool to have. If we learned anything from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, it's the multiple uses of towels, not the least of which is being able to dry off, and also keeping an open mind about what your experience might be. There might be smells, there might be bugs, there might be spiders, but if you go without having, you know, specific expectations, I think the lake can really speak for itself when the conditions and the preparation is right, and it's easy to feel enamored by it. So with that said, I'm going to talk about a few of my favorite destinations that are super, super accessible, easy places to explore some of Great Salt Lake's different habitats and the ecosystems within the Great Salt Lake ecosystem. One of my favorite places that's relatively new is the Eccles Wildlife Education Center in Farmington. And this is a beautiful place to explore the Farmington Bay wetlands. There's so many migratory birds that you can observe here, and they've got a 1.5 miles about nature trail with some overlooks that you can walk out to look for pelicans and beavers and turtles, all kinds of things along the trail. I've seen killdeer nests right on the trail, so that's something to be kind of cautious of too. And something that a tool that I love to use there is the Merlin Bird ID app, which you just answer these 3 simple questions down at the bottom of the screen, and it'll come up with this list of potential birds that you may have seen just based on answering the questions. So for budding, fledgling birders in your lives, that's a really awesome tool to use there. And it's free to access. They're open. The trails are available every single day during daylight hours. You can go. Their facilities have been have had limited operation over the last year, but the trails are always open. So I'd encourage anyone to go explore there. to get an experience of some saltwater and freshwater marshes. Another great place is the Nature Conservancy's Great Salt Lake Shorelands Preserve. They have this beautiful wooden boardwalk that's made of reclaimed railroad wood, and they have an audio tour in English and Spanish that you can use while you walk all around the preserve. It is just gorgeous, and you can see, again, all kinds of bird activity. They have barn owls that will roost and sit in the wooden structures, and so you can look at the barn owl pellets, which are super neat. Lots of raptor activity, shorebirds during the spring and the fall. So again, it's free to visit. They're open roughly during daylight hours in the winter, and it's another beautiful destination to go explore. That's just really family friendly for all kinds of folks. Great Salt Lake State Park in Magna is one of the closest destinations to visit Great Salt Lake from the Salt Lake City area or anywhere south of there. Again, just great facilities, easy to get around. And if you've never like waded in the lake, been into Great Salt Lake, this is the perfect place to do it. It's just super close. The beach is very accessible from the parking lot, and just go wade into the water, look for brine shrimp, just take in all of the expansive open water right in front of you, and you can count how many islands you can see, watch the sailboats go in and out of the marina. You can even launch a kayak or a paddleboard from their public boat ramp. And so it's just a great, very easy, accessible place to go, catch a sunset, whatever you'd like to do. It's currently open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and there's a $5 per vehicle entry fee, which is well worth it. And of course, last but not least, Antelope Island State Park is just an amazing destination to go explore Great Salt Lake. It is abundant with wildlife, anything you could imagine. It's just amazing to go and look at the bison, look at the pronghorn. They released bighorn sheep on the island not too long ago, and originally there were 25. I think they're up to 27 now. So those would be an amazing sight to see. Along the causeway, you can catch migratory shorebirds, just in incredible quantities during the spring and the fall. And there are so many different trails and hikes you can do. You can stargaze. The Antelope Island is an international dark sky park. And if you would like to float in Great Salt Lake, which is quite a rite of passage, Bridger Bay on Antelope Island is a really good destination to do that. And they have showers that are accessible to rinse off afterwards too. So to help you on your visits to Great Salt Lake, we have some resources. We adapted our Lakeside Learning field trips to self-guided formats for Antelope Island State Park and Great Salt Lake State Park. So these are exactly the route and activities and content that we would present to our students. And it's just a helpful way to kind of guide you on your visit around those locations. And they're geared toward 4th grade, but they're really adaptable to any age, just depending on what your interests are. And if you're not interested in following the full field trip, we have also broken down some of our key activities into individual activities. So one of my favorite activities is building a watershed model, representing Great Salt Lake as the lowest point with the mountains surrounding it and the 3 main rivers flowing in. We also have the oolitic sand experiment, which is really fun. If you bring some vinegar out with you, you can watch it react with the oolitic sand on the beaches. And we also have a brine shrimp patch kit that you can request from our website as well. And let's see, I'll just show you briefly. Our website here is where all of those things are located. The self-guided field trips, this is what they look like, supplies, information about the parks and the different stations that we go through, and the individual activities are here too. There's instructions and videos as well. So if anyone has any questions about any of those destinations that I've shared or tips to help you on your visit, please let me know. We'd be happy to help give you any more recommendations or suggestions. And thank you again to the Great Salt Lake Institute for this amazing series and helping everyone in our community to learn a little more about Great Salt Lake.